Hey guys, tonight we're going somewhere a little grim. But don't worry, you're already doomed. You've just stumbled out of a blinding white nowhere, boots filled with frozen regret, your eyelashes crisped with ice, and your fingers flirting with frostbite. Welcome to the Arctic. More specifically, the shadowy realm of the Inuit, where sleep is less a luxury and more a weird act of bravery. The sky is a dull smear of charcoal. Or maybe it's noon. You honestly can't tell. Everything is quiet, except the low crunch of snow beneath your knees as you collapse. Good news, it's time to rest. Bad news, the snow is your mattress. There's a biting wind sneaking past every layer you thought was warm. Your parka might as well be a paper napkin. Meanwhile, your phone is dead, but so are your neighbors, at least metaphorically. Because out here, the world goes silent for months, and the silence gets loud. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're still with me, comment where you're watching from and what time it is there. Because, unlike the sun up here, I do read the comments. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up to the sound of nothing. Not birds, not cars, not even the tick of a clock. You're in a world ruled by snowdrifts and seal fat, and tonight you'll try to sleep the Inuit way. Not under a weighted blanket, but inside an igloo that's part engineering marvel, part please don't collapse while I'm unconscious. They call it a karmak or igloo, depending on the season. You call it your only hope. As you kneel to catch your breath, a small group of people shuffle past, their hoods rimmed with frost and reindeer hair. They ignore you, probably because stopping means freezing. Also, you look like you'd last about 14 minutes out here. Historians still argue whether the Inuit wanted to sleep in these conditions or simply endured them. Spoiler, it was probably both. Life here didn't ask your opinion, but sleep did happen. And somehow it happened deeply, richly, in ways modern insomniacs can only dream of. Maybe it was the absolute silence. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Or maybe it was the terrifying spiritual belief that if you didn't rest properly, something might find you in your dreams and finish the job. Either way, your journey starts now. Just don't expect to feel warm again for the next 14 sections. You don't so much build shelter as beg the snow not to kill you. That's the magic of Inuit engineering. Taking something soft, freezing, and deadly, and convincing it to become your home for the night. The walls rise around you slowly, one brick at a time. But these aren't bricks. They're carved slabs of packed snow, handled like wedding china, but weighing like regret. You cut each block with a curved snow knife, hoping your shaky hands won't snap it mid-slice. Remember that wind? Yeah, it's still judging you. You've seen igloos in cartoons, big mistake. The real version doesn't have cute windows or warm fires flickering in the corner. It smells faintly of damp fur and boiled meat, and you already bumped your head on the low ceiling 4 times. It's shaped like a dome because it traps heat. Well, heat is generous. Let's say less death. To reinforce the walls, you stack whale bones at the base, bleached white, brittle, and shaped like ribs. Which is fitting since you're basically crawling into a frozen ribcage and calling it a bedroom. Some families layered sod or even driftwood when they could find it. You get a blubber tarp and the sound of your own breath. Historians still argue whether igloos were used year-round or only in hunting season. But they agree on one thing. It was a masterpiece of survival architecture. You could raise one in under an hour if you knew what you were doing. You don't. You finish your rough igloo and crawl inside, knees soaked, spirits frozen. There's a strange peace in here. The outside wind dulls to a whisper. You can't decide if it feels cozy or like a tomb someone forgot to finish. Quirky fact, some Inuit used a lamp called a quillik, fueled by seal oil and animal fat. It gave light, a bit of warmth, and was the only thing standing between your dreams and complete darkness. Congratulations, you're about to sleep with open flame and melting fat dripping next to your head. And no, there's no chimney. The smoke either sneaks out a hole or sits in the ceiling waiting for your lungs to notice. Meanwhile, your modern brain is screaming about carbon monoxide, but your prehistoric reality just shrugs and snuggles deeper into a damp reindeer pelt. Remember that prayer you mumbled earlier while stacking whale ribs? Might want to repeat it. The snow walls are still creaking, and your breath is fogging up the only exit. You try to sleep, but the sealskin pajamas keep sticking to your legs in ways that feel personal. The fur side is supposed to face in for warmth, but no one warned you about the constant sensation of wearing a damp shag carpet. Or the smell. Oh, the smell. Like fish oil, wet dog, and defeat. Layer by layer, you're bundled until your limbs disappear. Your inner thigh itches. You can't reach it. You accept this as your new normal. The Inuit knew how to dress for the apocalypse. Parkas with double hoods, boots stuffed with dried grass, and mittens the size of small mammals. But at night, the outer armor comes off, and what's left is a bed outfit made of tanned animal hide stitched with sinew, wrapped tight, and somehow always just a bit wet. Always. Historians still argue whether Inuit clothing was more advanced than early European cold weather gear. But considering you're not dead yet, it's clear they were onto something. Plus, European explorers often copied Inuit designs after freezing their butts off for a few years. The real challenge isn't the cold, it's the drafts. Despite your igloo's genius shape, cold air finds a way in like an unwanted coworker at a lunch break. It sneaks up the back of your neck, slithers past your seal fat bedding, and camps out behind your knees. You roll onto your side, nose buried in fur. The inside of the igloo glows faintly from the qualic, flickering shadows like lazy spirits across the dome. Outside, the wind howls, like it's remembering a grudge. Inside, the air smells of soot, salt, and sleep that hasn't quite arrived. Your toes begin negotiating with your brain. Stay and freeze, or peek out for warmth near the lamp. You imagine your thermostat back home. Remember that. Padded socks, central heating, dry pajamas, luxury. Meanwhile, here, you're sleeping like a hot burrito inside a walk-in freezer. A fringe tidbit. The Inuit sometimes chewed on ice to help regulate body temperature before sleep. You try this. It does not help. But hey, now you have a brain freeze and hypothermia. The sealskin creaks as you shift again. It's like sleeping in a beanbag made of wildlife. But gradually, somehow, you find stillness. Your body starts conserving, your breath shallows, and the draft becomes just another thing to ignore. Your neck itches. You can't scratch it. Welcome to the dreamscape of discomfort. You're not sleeping alone, not even close. The moment you settle into a semi-dry nook, a foot presses into your ribs. It's attached to a cousin, or maybe an elder. You're not sure anymore. In this cramped ice pod, individuality is just another thing that froze and died hours ago. Welcome to the Inuit family pile-up. There are no bedrooms, no walls, no personal space. Everyone sleeps in one communal space for warmth, because heating a separate room would be like setting fire to a snowball. So here you are, stacked like laundry in a dryer that never turns on. You can't tell where your body ends and someone else's begins. There's a toddler wedged under your arm. An elder's breath flutters against the back of your neck. Someone's elbow has claimed your stomach like disputed territory. It's fine. It's all fine. Quirky detail. In some Inuit communities, children were trained early to fall asleep amid noise, chaos, and cramped quarters. So while you're gasping in a cloud of shared breath, the kid next to you is snoring like a small walrus, peacefully. Historians still argue whether this sleeping arrangement fostered stronger community bonds or simply eliminated the concept of introverts. Either way, there's no escape. You shift slightly. So does everyone else, like a ripple in a human soup. Remember your itchy neck? It's now pressed against your uncle's armpit. There's no turning back, literally. You'd need a crowbar to rotate. A lull settles. The quillic flickers lower. Bodies rise and fall with slow synced breaths. And somehow, The human lasagna you're a part of begins to exude something dangerously close to comfort. It's a primal thing. Body heat, safety in numbers, survival through snuggling. Back home, your bed has memory foam. Here, the foam is made of memories and people. The silence returns, thicker now, except for one person who whispers nonsense in their sleep. Maybe it's dream talk, maybe it's spiritual, maybe they just miss indoor plumbing. Meanwhile, your arm's asleep, but the rest of you isn't. Still, against all odds, your eyelids drift lower. Your body, sandwiched and sore, begins to surrender. Just in time for someone to sneeze directly onto your forehead. You wake up disoriented, not because someone rolled over on your foot again, but because it's still dark. Or maybe it's dark again. The sun hasn't shown up for days. Weeks, you've lost count. Welcome to the Arctic Circle's biggest prank. No proper day, no real night, just an eternal in-between that makes your internal clock throw its hands in the air and quit. You squint at the entrance tunnel, still shadow. You blink hard, still nothing. In the Inuit world, this wasn't unusual, it was life. In winter, darkness stretched endlessly. In summer, daylight never quite left. Sleep had to happen whether the sun agreed or not. You, however, can't even decide if it's breakfast time or if you just woke up at 3 a.m. into a group nap that started on Tuesday. Historians still argue how the Inuit kept track of time during these extended periods of darkness. There were no clocks, no alarms, just internal rhythms, environmental cues, and good old gut instinct. You have neither rhythm nor instincts left, just a vague headache and a body temperature somewhere between popsicle and lukewarm soup. Quirky tidbit: some Inuit groups believed the sun took a journey through the underworld during the long dark. It would return eventually, but only if you didn't mess up. No pressure. Meanwhile, you're losing your grip on what day it is. Your fellow sleepers shuffle around, performing vague rituals, adjusting the quillik, brushing snow off sealskin, boots, trading dried fish like sleepy stockbrokers. No one speaks. Maybe they can't remember how. Remember that flickering lamp from last night? It's still going, still stinking, still casting those ghostly shadows on the dome that make you question your life choices. The warmth is faint, but in this place, faint is the new blazing. You step outside briefly, hoping for some cosmic sign. A hint of light, a star, even a growling polar bear would be helpful. But the sky remains a grey canvas painted by someone who gave up halfway through. You head back in, not because you're tired, but because it's either bedtime or breakfast, and honestly, who cares? Time has become a rumor, and you're starting to believe it. You finally fall asleep, sort of, but you don't dream of warm beaches or soft pillows. No, your dreams are loud, tangled, and a little suspicious. And when you wake, everyone's watching you like you just said something weird in your sleep, which apparently you did. In traditional Inuit culture, dreams weren't just leftovers from your subconscious. They were real. They were messengers, warnings, sometimes even a prequel to tomorrow. You could dream of a caribou and wake to find one standing outside, or dream of a lost loved one and feel them breathing next to you. Comforting? Maybe. Creepy? Also yes. Historians still argue whether Inuit dreams were seen more as visions or as moral compasses. But either way, they mattered. You couldn't just roll over and forget. You'd be expected to recall every blurry, half-frozen detail and share it with the group, like morning news. Quirky tidbit: some Inuit believed that your soul could leave your body during dreams to go visit ancestors or even go hunting, which sounds cool until you remember how cold it is out there. Even your spirit needs a parka. You sit up slowly, trying to remember what you dreamed. A fish? A snowstorm? The face of someone who looked suspiciously like your 4th grade math teacher but wearing seal fur. You consider keeping that one to yourself. Across the igloo, an elder grunts in approval. Apparently, your twitching in sleep meant something to him. Great. Now you're someone's prophetic weather omen. Remember that toddler who fell asleep under your arm? They're gone now, up and waddling around like dreams are for amateurs. You, meanwhile, are questioning your own grip on reality. Is it the spiritual realm visiting you? Or is it the lingering effect of sleeping nose to snow for too long? Outside, the wind carries the low hum of a distant howl. Maybe it's a wolf. Maybe it's something older. The Inuit believed dreams could bring wisdom or warning. You just hope yours isn't a death notification. Back in your corner of the igloo, you lie down again, not to sleep but to wait, for clarity, for courage, for the heat from someone else's elbow. Your eyes close. Your soul considers leaving, and who could blame it? You're drifting off again, wrapped in fur and confusion, when someone hisses, "Don't whistle." Not in a scary way, more like a tired reminder, like someone warning you not to microwave foil. You weren't planning to whistle, but now you definitely won't. Because here, whistling at night isn't just annoying, it's an invitation. To what? Depends on who you ask. Some say spirits, others say wind demons. A few just shake their heads and mutter, "You'll see." The Inuit believed nighttime wasn't just sleep time, it was spirit time. The world got thinner, quieter, more curious, and if you made the wrong sound at the wrong hour, you might attract something you didn't intend to. Quirky tidbit. In some regions, it was thought that whistling could call the Kalapiluit, a creature that lurked beneath the ice and lured the foolish or loud into its frozen grip. Honestly, you're starting to get why everyone sleeps in silence. Historians still argue whether these beliefs were cautionary tales for children, or if they played a deeper role in regulating nighttime behavior in tight, tense spaces. Either way, nobody wants to test it. You swallow a yawn that sounds dangerously like a whistle. Close call. The quillic flickers. Shadows shift. You lie very still. Suddenly every sound feels louder. Your heartbeat, your breath, the soft snore of someone nearby that now feels a little too rhythmically off. You tell yourself it's just Uncle Sleepy. You hope. Outside, the wind whistles instead, because of course it does. The igloo creaks. A snow block settles with a soft thud, and your body tenses like it's been summoned. Remember the dreams from earlier. They haven't left. They've just gone quiet, waiting. You pull the seal pelt closer, trying to blend into the human pile, trying not to breathe too loudly, trying very hard not to exist audibly. The toddler stirs beside you, murmurs something, half understood in a language you don't speak, then rolls over. You decide that if they're not scared, you shouldn't be either. But you still scoot half an inch away, just in case. You fall asleep wondering if you'll wake up with your soul in the same place you left it. You wake up sweating, which feels wrong, mostly because it's below freezing and your nose still has icicles on it. But the rest of you? Swampy. Welcome to your new job title, Human Furnace. That's the unspoken rule in an Inuit igloo. If you're not cold, you're probably the heat source. Your legs are wrapped around someone's back, your chest is a pillow, and at least one person is using your thigh as a mitten warmer. Congratulations. Your infrastructure now. Inuit sleeping arrangements weren't just about snuggles, they were thermodynamic strategy. Smaller kids in the middle, older bodies on the outside. You, unfortunately, are on the edge tonight, which means your back is freezing while your front is slowly becoming soup. Quirky tidbit. In some groups, caribou hide blankets were layered, like lasagna. The trick was to trap warm air, not sweat. You missed that memo, and now feel like a baked potato sealed in your own regret. Historians still argue how effective this heat-sharing model really was, but you're too busy trying to shift your knee without waking the human tower you're fused to. Remember the itchy sealskin from earlier? Yeah, it's still there, now joined by clammy regret. Meanwhile, your armpits are steaming, and the quillic has decided to burn a little brighter tonight. Because of course it has. You whisper a silent complaint to no one in particular, and get a foot to the chin in reply. That's fair. Back home, you had a duvet and control over the thermostat. Here, the thermostat is made of relatives, and the duvet is breathing. Someone snores into your clavicle. You take a breath and hold it. not for peace, just to see if air still exists. Your hair is damp now, not from the outside, but from the combined exhalations of 5 humans and 1 lamp that smells like roasted penguin farts. You mentally draft a thank you letter to your ceiling fan. Eventually, the discomfort becomes background noise. You focus on the stillness, the breathing, the soft crackle of the fat lamp, and the knowledge that you are slowly becoming soup in the service of survival. Sleep isn't rest here, it's survival planning. You're not drifting off for sweet dreams. You're conserving energy for the next 12 hours of not dying. That's the difference. The elder beside you shifts, mumbles, then rises. He's not waking up because he's done sleeping. He's waking up because his internal alarm says it's time to move, time to hunt, or check the ice, or watch the fire, or make sure a polar bear hasn't RSVP'd to the back wall. In the traditional Inuit world, sleeping wasn't a rigid 8-hour affair. It was fragmented, functional, often done in shifts. Strategic napping was a skill and a necessity, especially during long-distance hunts across the tundra, where lying down for too long meant being found by a curious Arctic fox. Or worse. Historians still argue whether Inuit sleeping patterns were polyphasic by culture or by circumstance. But the outcome was the same. You slept when you could, for as long as you safely could, and then you got up. That's it. No bedtime, stories, no melatonin gummies. Just instincts and urgency. Quirky tidbit. Some Inuit hunters were trained to nap standing up, leaning on their spears. If they fell over, it meant the nap was over. You try to imagine this. You also try to imagine surviving it for more than 6 seconds. Tonight, you're not on the hunt, but your body still won't let you sleep deeply. Not with the wind pressing against the igloo wall like it's testing for weak spots. Not with the lamp flickering like it just heard something. Not with the knowledge that the person breathing beside you might soon slip out silently to check the traps. You try to relax, but your neck remembers that time you slept on a frozen floor. Spoiler, that time was yesterday. Remember when you thought survival was about food and fire? It's also about sleep, when to do it, how to do it, and how not to freeze halfway through. You curl tighter, feeling the hum of bodies around you. You drift off, not peacefully, but with purpose. You wake up to the sound of something shifting inside a sack, not rustling, squirming. You look down. Congratulations. There's a baby in your sleeping bag. In Inuit households, babies weren't given a separate room or even a crib. They were swaddled like snug little sushi rolls in caribou hide bags, worn against the chest or tucked into communal bedding like edible cargo. It's efficient, warm, and deeply unsettling when one appears against your ribs mid-nap. This one blinks at you with the calm of a creature who's never known temperature control or personal space. It gurgles. You try to gurgle back. It wins. Quirky tidbit. Inuit babies often stayed in those cozy skin sacks for most of the day and night. The inside was lined with soft moss, sometimes used as a diaper, and the outside insulated with fur, a little mobile microclimate, powered by love and body heat. Historians still argue whether this method was purely utilitarian or carried deeper cultural symbolism. But one thing's certain, that baby isn't cold. You, on the other hand, are losing circulation in your left leg. The baby wriggles and lets out a soft whine. A mother somewhere stirs, reaches across 2 snoring uncles, and reclaims the bundle with a grunt. No thank you. No explanation. Just a practiced extraction like she's done this 1,000 times. She probably has. You shift to the warm spot, the baby left behind, which now smells faintly of moss and milk. Not unpleasant, just specific. You close your eyes again, only to be hit in the face with a discarded sealskin mitten. You try not to take it personally. Remember how you used to think of nighttime as peaceful. Here, it's more like a soft wrestling match between sleep, sweat, furs, and surprise babies. The igloo murmurs with tiny movements, someone coughing, someone adjusting, someone whispering about their dream from last night. The child, now reabsorbed, into the family pile, coos softly and begins to doze again, completely unbothered by the chaos. You, however, are wide awake, for now. You blink yourself back into consciousness. It's hard to tell if you ever really slept. The igloo is dark, but not asleep. One figure is already moving, and unfortunately, that figure is you. Tonight, or is it morning, you've drawn night watch duty. Not official, not assigned, just something you're expected to do because everyone else already took their turn. There's no alarm, no shift change whistle. Someone nudges you with a knee and mutters something you don't understand, but it sounds suspiciously like your turn. You sit up, slowly peeling yourself away from a wall of snoring warmth. Instantly, you regret it. The air is sharp, like it's been sharpening itself on the inside of your nose. You can barely see the quillic in the center, its flame drooping with exhaustion. Just like you, the Inuit often slept in shifts, especially during expeditions or times of heightened animal activity. Someone always had to be half awake. Not fully alert, just ready enough to notice if the roof started to sink or if a curious bear wandered into the back entrance. You are now that someone. Historians still argue whether this rotating alertness was instinct or tradition. Either way, your new reality involves sitting upright in the cold while pretending you're fine with it. You're not. Your left foot is asleep. Your right ear is sweating. You can hear the wind licking the walls again. Quirky tidbit. In some communities, watchers used small bone charms to stay awake, rubbing or tapping them rhythmically to fend off sleep. You, unfortunately, have only your own knees, and they're not very entertaining. You stretch, shift, try not to think about how much warmer everyone else looks. Your eyes begin to droop. You slap your own face gently. It doesn't help. You try humming, then remember the whole no whistling thing and go silent. Remember the baby from earlier? He's snoring now. Deep, smug snores. You envy him. Somewhere, outside, ice shifts. You sit up straighter, listening. Nothing follows. Just the snow whispering the same story it's been telling for centuries. Survive, sleep later. You sigh, stare into the soft flicker of the quillic, and wait for your turn to drift again. Eventually, dawn sneaks in, or at least something pretending to be dawn. A pale grey haze filters through the ice blocks like a tired ghost. Trying not to wake anyone, you stretch, or try to. Your spine sounds like it's cracking open a frozen walnut. The family begins to stir again. One by one, they rise like warm loaves of bread, rising too slowly in a cold oven. No one speaks yet. There's just the shuffling of furs, the groan of joints, and the occasional sneeze that sounds suspiciously judgmental. Then, without ceremony, someone starts talking about their dreams. Dreams are currency here, not psychological curiosities, but practical information. If you dreamed of a bear, that might mean a hunt. If someone else dreamed of broken snowshoes, maybe stay home. Even bad dreams are shared, dissected, discussed over dried fish like yesterday's weather report. You mumble your contribution. Something about sliding into a hole full of talking seals. It doesn't seem helpful, but someone nods like that confirms what they feared. You don't ask what. Quirky tidbit. Inuit dream sharing wasn't just small talk. It helped make decisions. Who should lead the hunting party? Which route to take? Should the group stay another day? All filtered through the dream filter of half-sleeping minds. Kind of like checking the group chat, except with more mysticism and fewer emojis. Historians still argue whether this practice was more social glue or genuine spiritual guidance. Either way, it bound the group together with shared stories. And, let's be honest, gave everyone a reason to wake up. You sit by the quillic, watching the lamp fat bubble lazily. Someone's recounting a dream about a distant ancestor offering advice on where to find fish. Another mutters about a dog walking upright. No one laughs. Everyone listens. Remember your dream from earlier, the one with the math teacher in seal fur. You keep that one to yourself, maybe tomorrow. As the day fades in without really arriving, you begin to realize sleep here isn't a break from life. It is life, twisted into dreams, braided into stories, kept warm by memory and breath. You're finally settling back into a dozy rhythm when the shaman arrives. Quietly, like he walked in with the fog. He doesn't knock. No one does. He just enters, sits by the quillick, and starts unpacking small bone carvings, a pouch of herbs, and what looks like a dried fish eyeball. Fantastic. Tonight, sleep isn't just rest, it's a portal, and the shaman's here to crack it open. You weren't told there would be spiritual maintenance before bed, but apparently someone in the igloo had a troubling dream. Maybe the upright walking dog, or the talking seal. Maybe your silent scream nap finally caught someone's attention. In Inuit culture, shamans, or angakuk, often interpreted dreams and guided spiritual health. They didn't just heal the body, they soothed the invisible. And sometimes that meant rituals performed while you were still trying to figure out if your foot was under a cousin or a caribou. Quirky tidbit. Some shamans were said to travel through dream realms, seeking answers, lost spirits, or instructions from forces best, left unnamed. They did this while everyone else tried to pretend they weren't hearing throat singing and drum beats in the middle of their REM cycle. Historians still argue whether the angakuk used trance states or dreams themselves to channel insight. You argue that no one warned you your bedtime might include a mild possession. The shaman begins humming, then pauses to sprinkle powdered something onto the lamp flame. The quillick flares up, casting exaggerated shadows. Everyone hushes. You freeze, not in fear, just literally. You're still not close enough to the lamp. He murmurs in a voice so low, it feels more like a vibration than speech. Something about balance, about spirits, about a message someone ignored. Everyone nods solemnly. You nod too, just in case. Remember your earlier dream, the whole of talking seals? It's starting to seem weirdly relevant. You close your eyes again, this time not sure whether you'll find rest or an ancient ancestor waiting with unsolicited advice. Sleep takes you anyway, softly, sneakily, under the hum of drums and breath. This time, you dream of snow that whispers and ice that sighs. You're not cold anymore, but not warm either, just suspended, like your body is wrapped in the memory of frost. You drift through the frozen night until a question curls up beside you. Do you sleep after death? In Inuit belief systems, death wasn't a full stop. It was another journey, one where sleep and dreams still mattered. Some believed the soul lingered in the wind, or slipped beneath the ice, or wandered among animals before settling wherever spirits call home, which sounds peaceful, until you remember how drafty home is around here. For now, you stir as the igloo breathes around you. Somewhere, a pot boils faintly. Someone coughs. Someone else mumbles a dream about a glowing bear. It's unclear whether that's a good sign. Historians still argue how Inuit afterlife beliefs varied between communities. In some tales, the dead hunted and danced in a sky realm. In others, they rested beneath the sea with the goddess Sedna, assuming they hadn't broken any taboos. If they had, well, the afterlife got a lot chillier, and not in the relaxing way. Quirky tidbit. In some traditions, it was believed that those who didn't respect animals properly in life might return as them in the next, which makes you deeply regret glaring at that fish head earlier. You wrap your furs tighter, half awake now. The line between life and dream and death. It all starts to feel like slush, slippery, cold, and impossible to walk on in modern shoes. Remember when you longed for sleep in the first section, aching to collapse into rest. Now you understand why sleep wasn't just a relief, it was a sacred trust. It had layers, depth, consequence, and even now, as you drift again, part of you wonders, if you don't dream tonight, will someone notice? Will your breath be just breath, or a signal that your soul's gone walking? You exhale slowly, just to be safe. You're curled back in your corner of the igloo, half-baked in shared body heat, when it finally clicks. You were never alone here. Not really, not even in your sleep. Sure, you shared this snow cave with 8 humans, 1 snotty toddler, and a lamp that smells like sadness. But it goes deeper. The air itself feels full, heavy, like it remembers everyone who ever slept here before you. In Inuit tradition, the ancestors were never gone. They were part of the snow, the wind, the stone knife passed down through 10 winters. And sometimes, especially in dreams, they came back. Not to haunt, just to remind. Someone stirs beside you. You open your eyes. For a moment, you swear you see a figure that wasn't there before. Broad shoulders, lined face, a parka you've never seen. But then you blink, and it's gone. Just your own breath fogging the inner wall again. Historians still argue whether ancestral presence in Inuit cosmology was symbolic or literal. But to those who lived it, there was no difference. The dead weren't elsewhere. They were here. Just very quiet about it. Quirky tidbit. Names were sometimes recycled deliberately. A newborn might be named after a recently deceased elder and believed to carry pieces of their memory, even behavior. So in a way, that baby from earlier might be your great-great-granduncle. Hope you didn't sneeze on him. Remember when you thought the worst part would be the cold? Now you realize it's something gentler, something harder to name. The way this place wraps around you. Not just the people, not just the furs, the story, the invisible threads tying sleep to spirit, breath to bone, you to every frozen soul who came before. You close your eyes again. Outside, the wind still howls. Inside, the breathing settles into rhythm. You're warm now, not just from the heat of bodies, but from belonging. The ancestors snore quietly in another realm. Tonight, you've traveled far, through snow tunnels and bone shelters, under skies that forgot how to change, and into dreams that whispered old, truths in a language your body somehow understood. Your breath has slowed now. Your muscles, sore from imaginary effort, begin to soften. The world of the Inuit, so cold, so layered, starts to recede, like snow melting just beyond your touch. You don't need to remember every detail. The sealskin warmth, the flicker of the qualik, the elbow in your ribs. They've all done their job. They've lulled you, wrapped you, carried you through a place where sleep was never wasted. And now you can rest. Not because you've escaped the cold, but because you've made peace with it. Because you've joined the slow rhythm of breath, shared by those who once lived in the dark and thrived. Let the last of the ice in your mind melt into stillness. Let the memory of snow become background noise. Let the ancestors have their dreams now. Yours can wait until morning. And as you drift, remember, you are not sleeping in a frozen world anymore. You are here, in a soft bed, with a working heater, a phone nearby, and absolutely zero chances of being mistaken for a midnight spirit by a wandering shaman. Tonight, you sleep alone. And for once, that's the blessing. End of script. Sweet dreams. Download as audio for now.